No, I'm not dead yet, but I have decided to retire. And I could have retired, 4 or 5 years ago, but I decided that I didn't really want to retire until I knew exactly what I was going to do after I retire. I just really had a hard time imagining myself sitting in a rocking chair staring at the wall. So I felt like I needed to have a solid plan in place before I committed to retirement. And like I said, that was several years ago, and now I've kind of decided that I need to put myself on the spot. I still want to have a plan, but unless I make the commitment, I don't think I'll ever get those plans made. So I decided that it's going to happen, and I may retire at the end of this year of teaching in June. However, there's one other factor that may cause me to extend it for another year. It's based upon the TRS retirement plan. And as it turns out, I'm approaching a plateau in my benefits where if I were to teach an additional year, it could come out to about another $200,000 for my retirement. So, it's kind of hard to leave that on the table. But that doesn't necessarily mean I won't. So I'm thinking that, like I said, that's going to be hard to leave on the table. So I'm kind of leaning towards that, teaching one more year after this year, but I could retire possibly this coming June. So I'm making that commitment. It's going to be, depending upon what the TRS says, and ultimately what I say too. Even if it does turn out that I'm leaving that money on the table, I might decide that, it's time to move on. So that gets to the planning part. Now I've sort of forced myself to start doing some planning, and there have been some things that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but just haven't been able to find the time or to do it. One of those is has to do with retirement itself. I've a big part of my what I've been doing as an educator has involved me traveling, all around the world, and so I'm thinking, I may want to retire abroad, and I actually have a very long, short list of possible places I might want to retire overseas. So that definitely has to work its way into my planning, and also for many years now, for probably it's been about 20 years ago that a friend of mine hiked the Appalachian Trail. So I've been thinking, I've been wanting for a long time to set aside some time to hike one of the major trails here in the United States, probably the AT, the Appalachian Trail, or the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail. To do those, that's going to take half a year, anywhere from 5 to 8 months or so, depending upon which one I ultimately end up doing, assuming that I do it. But that's something that I want to try to work into my plans if I can. And it's been a while since I've run a marathon. I've run a couple of them, and the last one I ran was about 15 years ago. I've been thinking, maybe I'll want to run another marathon. So those are my plans. And the marathon itself, I can do that actually before I retire. I can. I'm not in great shape right now, but I have been, running fairly regular. But I'm definitely not in marathon shape. So I could probably start the training for that, anytime. It's just a matter of picking a marathon, which one I might want to do. So that's on my list, and something I can actually do and probably will do before I retire, assuming that I decide to teach another year. If I retire in June, I don't see myself being ready to run a marathon by June. So I'm thinking within the next year, I want to get another marathon under my belt. But then, when I do the hike one of the major trails, that's going to definitely depend upon when I retire. Even if I retire in June, I would probably want to begin my hike in April. So I think it's typically when most people start one of those trails, possibly in March early, especially if I decided to do the PCT. If I'm not done teaching until June, that means the earliest I could do that, assuming I retire in June, would actually be through the summer of 2004. And then if I teach another year, that's going to push that back to 2005. And of course, that's something that I'd want to do before I moved abroad. So there's definitely going to have to be some planning in there. And plus, I decided I just sort of wanted to put it out there and put myself on the line for the world to see, so that I put a little pressure on myself to actually make me pursue these things. So I actually started a blog for people to follow, and I'm gonna do these videos from time to time to supplement that blog, and we'll see where it goes from here. That's all I got for now.